icon bar or at the top of your chart on the icon bar. From what I've seen, 100% of the installs have at the very least a default button out for the trade console, and you can see this button typically on your icon bar. It is the only one that's green. Background's green on that button all the time. You can also get to it by going to the View menu, go down to Trade Console, open the Trade Console that way. Either way. The button's on 100% of the installs from default, so why not use the button? When you first click on the button, what will open is this little strip right at the top of your chart. Trade Console to the chart header, that blue line is all Trade Console stuff. Dashboard, open orders, positions, accounts, auto trading, TradeSense orders, activity log, today's fills. These are the things we're going over today, and there will be a fair amount of work done on the trade tracking. That's typically the reason why we're here in the first place. So the first button, Dashboard, allows us to open a dashboard on the Trade Console that shows any working orders that we're currently in or have placed, any positions that we're in, and also show our account links. The green dot next to your account name would signify that you're connected to that account. If the dot is red, you are disconnected. If it's yellow, it means that you're not connected either, and that something's wrong with the connection to that account. So be wary of the condition that your dots are in. You can, like with many things on Trade Navigator except a chart, click on the blue line at the top of the Trade Console and separate it from your chart. That's handy, especially in this case for coaching sessions. It's handy because we can see a nice big view of the Trade Console. It's handy for multiple screen users because you can separate your Trade Console and put it on a different monitor. All right, so the dashboard, we already know it shows our working orders, our positions we're in. It shows our accounts. I have many of them. All of them are SIM except for that one that's disconnected. That would be on my live account. You can also separate different components of this dashboard. For instance, working orders would just separate out any open orders that you currently had operating. Notice it looks exactly like this window on the dashboard. It's your working orders. You can also separate out your position window and make a position window. So instead of separating the whole Trade Console and moving it on to a different monitor, maybe you just separate the open orders and positions and move them over. Either way. The next button on the line here is Accounts. If you click on that, it just shows all of your accounts. So again, another just same thing, different view. This one shows balance, current value. That would be if you were in a trade currently, it would show the current value based on the profit or loss in that current trade. Hence, it would add in the open equity or subtract. Auto trading. If you're a Platinum user and you're creating strategies and you have one back tested and you want to activate it, auto trading is where you would go to set up an auto traded item. I cover setting up auto-traded items in a completely different webinar series. In fact, it will be at the end of this month. It's called Basic Strategy Creation. It's a 4-day event, 50 minutes a day or an hour a day, running for the 22nd through the whatever the end of that week is, 25th. Suffice to say, that's what auto trading is. TradeSense order groups are covered, I believe, next Monday, I think. TradeSense order groups is a different way to auto trade, but this would be you setting up the auto traded item for a TradeSense order group. Again, these two components of the Trade Console are covered under different webinars. We're really not here to go over those today. If anybody has any questions on either one of those, go ahead and throw them up on the question board. I certainly will answer them at the end. The activity log. A fun little list of all the things that have happened during the day on your account. Really on every account. itemized in such a way that you won't be able to ascertain really anything to do in this list. It's not handy, in my opinion, for anything. And yes, I'm recording this webinar, so everybody will hear this. It's really way better ways to find out what you did today rather than look in the activity log. I really can't stress it enough. There's no real good reason to go in here. I guess if once you get used to reading how it's laid out, maybe, but again, I'll show you a different way to look at all this. Today's fills. Again, it's a pretty cool thing. It's another way to look at what we just looked at for the activity log, but it isn't just today. As you'll notice, there's a whole bunch of replay stuff left on here. I've done some streaming replay work in almost a year ago. They're still in here. This is kind of a misnomer that they're today's fills, considering that I've got replay work on my replay account left over from a year ago. It will show on any of your other accounts only today's activity or today's fills. You can see right in here. Now this was on a sim account. I lost 50 bucks today. Earlier in the day I was long in the ES, and luckily it got out with a $50 loss because it ended up going down quite substantially. Beside the point, but it is a way for you to go back and see what happened during the day quickly. Buy and sell. Yes, I know there's a buy and sell button on top of the trade console, and it's a great way to throw orders in on symbols maybe that you're not charting. But there's far more efficient ways to place orders on the chart, and that would be from the order bar instead of using the buy-sell button. The only time I can see the buy-sell button working is what I already stated, is if I'm charting Apple but I want to put an order in on cat, I would click on the buy button, change the symbol to the symbol I want to place the order on, and do it manually that way. I don't really promote using them because why wouldn't you just change your chart to cat and then put the order bar on the side and place the order that way? I guess it depends on what you're doing and how you're using the platform. Settings. We can set up a lot of stuff on the trade console that is not only trade console related, but it's trading related. If you're trading on your sim account and you've ever noticed, maybe you're an intraday trader, you're practicing some intraday trading strategies, and you've noticed that you can only put an order so close to the active market. That number is taken care of right here on the top trading order options. Do not allow a stop order to be moved if the new price is within a certain amount of ticks away from the market. This is defaulted to 3, I believe, when you install Trade Navigator. I promptly changed mine to 1 because I want the option of putting that in. You have to be careful if you get it too close because a lot of times you'll get some errors if the market's moving. All of the confirmation boxes that you probably have been annoyed by. Confirm when a manual order is about to be submitted. Confirm when a triggered order is about to be submitted. All the confirmation boxes can be unchecked here so that you don't get them. The warnings for stop and limit orders placed on the wrong side of the market. General rule is you want to keep those checked. If an auto exit order gets rejected for any reason, flatten my position and immediately notify me. You could put a dot next to that. It defaults to ask me if I want to flatten my position. There's journaling options, and then there's some stuff on option trading. The console tab at the top is really the only tab out of the 3 that pertains to the actual trade console itself, and it just allows us to set different headers. So these headers for open orders, filled, status, current price, bid, ask, all this stuff is checked, and that's what I have for my header bar. In the section for open orders, I have 4 boxes checked, and I have those 4 headers. Some of them are fixed, like the flattened column is fixed, the cancel and the modifier fixed. You can't get rid of those. In the accounts, I could choose to put in the current value if I wanted to, like it shows when we looked at the account screen. This pertains to this bottom window. Buttons to show on the toolbar. Remember, I said there's no real good reason to use the buy and sell. We could turn them off. That would force us to never even think that we could do any of that from here. Activity log. You could uncheck that. Never have to view that button. Maybe you're not using the journaling function. Great, uncheck it. Web status report was new, I don't know, probably 2 versions ago, maybe the beginning of last year. This allows us to watch the status of an account from a web page. So if I'm trading on my home PC on an auto-traded strategy, not that I'm recommending doing this, and I want to watch how my account is trading from work. Before I left home, I could put a check mark next to the account that I was trading on, and then I would have to remember this URL to type into a browser somewhere else to be able to see that status report in real time. The browser window then opens a page that looks like this. That's really all you get. Functional, I don't know, I've never really used it. I'm an intraday trader, so I only trade when I'm sitting at my computer. I would never promote that you leave your computer while you're in a trade. So lots of things we can do from the settings window. We'll cancel out of here. Tracking, we're going to go to a different way. Reports, again, we're going to do a little bit different on reporting. Know that you can get to both from here as I go through them a different way. Journals, we're going to save that till last. It really will depend on what version of Trade Navigator you currently have installed when we get to journals. I have Platinum, and I will try to express to you what options you have if you don't have Platinum. All right, so let's go to the meat of the Trade Console webinar, because really a lot of this is about trade tracking and printing performance reports out of your accounts. That's really what the Trade Console, other than giving us a synopsis of what's going on during the day with our working orders and our positions, the real end result here is that we're going to want to do some performance reports and do some tracking inside our account screen. You could go to the tracking button to get there, but instead we're going to click on the accounts button. That's going to pull up our list of accounts. We're going to pick the account that we want to track or that we want to look at more in depth and double click on it. That will open what's called the Trade Tracker. The Trade Tracker gives us access to everything pertaining to that account that we opened. From an accounting screen where we set up our starting balances, our futures or stocks, commissions and fees rates, our nickname, you know, when we initially created the SIM account, we would have given it a nickname. We would have filled it full of some money. We can see any working orders from this screen. We can also see positions that we're in from here. But most importantly, we can see our transactions and finally our trades. That pesky activity log is here too. Again, stay away from that. Transactions. This is the first of the most important places that the Trade Tracker has to offer. This transactions list is each individual transaction that you've made on this account. Ins and outs will be on separate lines. And hopefully at the end you'll have a flat. If you don't have a flat at the end, it means you're still in a position. I took a trade, so you have to match the buys with the sells. Got in a long position, I sold, and I was flat. Long one to flat, short one to flat, long one to flat, and so forth. So each individual transaction, line by line, is what's listed in the Trade Console. If you wanted to clean some trades out of this, maybe it's a SIM account, you want to get rid of all of the trades from last year, you would need to scroll up to the top of this list and line by line, click on a line and then delete the fill. Click and delete. As you go along, remember, as soon as you delete the entry line, you'll suddenly be in a position from that date. So you have to kind of ignore your chart and what's going on with your account as you do this. Make sure that if you delete an entry, you delete the corresponding exit. The other place that it comes in handy on the transaction list is, let's say for instance, now this is a real stretch because this is really never going to happen. Let's say for instance that you get in a position on Apple. Market's moving exceptionally fast. Trade Navigator thinks you got filled at $101. But when you receive your broker report or your notice from your broker, you realize that what you really got filled at the broker was $101.25. You have the ability in the transaction window to go back and edit a fill. You would click on the transaction, click on Edit Fill, and then you can edit the price at which that transaction got filled at. And that's one way you can use it. You're generally not going to be editing too many fills in the past, even on a live account. You can export this to a spreadsheet if you wanted to manipulate the data even further. You can create new fills. Let's say you're trading on a sim account and you forgot to get in a trade this morning that you know you would have taken. And you really want it to be in this transaction list on your sim account so that you can do some performance reporting at the end on the strategy that you're trading. As long as you know the date and time of the bar, and on that bar a valid price that you're about ready to put in was matched, you can create a new fill. All you have to do is put in the quantity, the direction, the symbol, the price, and the time and date that fill or that price happened. Once you click OK, that new fill will be created, and then you're either going to have to exit that position or you're going to have to create another new fill to get out of it. Those are kind of finer points of keeping track. You'd only do that on a sim account. Or maybe you're doing it on a sim account to match what you're trading on a live account that you're not trading through Trade Navigator. Maybe you're trading on Charles Schwab and you want to match your sim account to your Charles Schwab account. That would be an example of when to use new fills. So that's the transaction tab, line-by-line itemization of each transaction. Trades are completed trades. So on one line, you will see the in and out. Got in a long position, here's the exit date and time, completed trade profit and loss, fees that were applied, and account balance over on the right. A running tally of your account balance as you trade, day by day on this account. This Trades tab is where the performance reporting comes in, and that can also be gotten to from right up here on the Trade Console Reports. I don't teach it from the Trade Console, I teach it from inside the Trade Tracker. You would click on Reports, and from the report screen you can run any real combination of reporting from the general filter window. You can run it for a date range. Maybe you want to know how you've done over the last month. So date range on this account, we'll skip forward to the current month. Well, we'll take it from the beginning of August. No, not 2013 though. We want to know how we did from the beginning of August to the end of August. Those are the only trades we want to pull into our performance report. Click OK. And a pretty little report's going to show, and it's going to show how we did. In August on my sim account, I made $478. I returned 7.6%. My win rate was 80%. My profit factor was 132.09. I didn't even know profit factors could get that high. Man, do I wish this was my live account. From the filter window or from the performance report, we can look at a lot of different things. We can look at our long trades. Looks like we were pretty good on long trades, but reduced winning percentage. We took 2 short trades in August, and we won on both of them. So we made the most money, looks like, in August on short trades. We can look at a trade-by-trade itemization If we have enough trades, we could look at a profit, an equity curve. We could even apply some money management to our trades to see what would have happened if we would have been following money management rules, so forth and so on. Lots of things you can do in the performance report. You can make new adjustments. The new adjustment tab is very important if you're trading on a live account and you have fixed fees with your broker. For example, my live account is with AMP Brokerage. I trade futures. I only trade on the E-mini S&P. I have to pay $10 to my broker every month for what's called a CQG connection fee. That $10, because it's a monthly charge, flat rate, cannot be itemized in the accounting screen as commissions and fees on a per trade basis. So on the Trades tab every month, I click on, sorry, why is it not on, oh yeah. I click on New Adjustment, and I make a debit or a credit based on the amount of the $10 fee. So I would make a $10 debit once a month so that my account balance stays in line with the account balance that's shown at the broker. All right, so now that I'm going to go into some nuances of working in the trade tracker. I'm not going to go into this a lot unless somebody has some questions on this, but you'll notice there's rule columns. And right now you see none in all the columns, in both columns. None for entry rules, none for exit rules. Yes, on the reporting screen you can even sort by entry rules. You have to take the time to go in here and manage or set up the rules that you want to use on these trades. Let's say in one sim account, this is an example of what you do with this. Let's say in one sim account you're trading two different strategies. One uses a Stoke crossing entry, the other one uses an RSI crossing strategy, and your entry rules are based on maybe two or three different your exit rules are based on two or three different exits. One's a price based, the other one's a crossback. I don't know. You just let your mind wander down all the different ones you can do. You would have to go into the reporting screen and click on Manage Rules. In Manage Rules, you would set up the abbreviations for your entry rule. So we'll make a new one, and we want this to be an entry rule. Our name is Stoke K Cross, and we have to make an abbreviation for it, so we'll just do SKC. We could type in a description, we click OK. Now that's been added here. We've already got a 10-tick stop and a coaching long exit, so we've got some exits, we've got some entries. So every day at the end of the day, when you get done trading, you'd have to go back into the Trades tab and you'd have to remember how you traded. So let's say this trade right here, oh yeah, I remember that. That was this morning. Click on the word none. Now I can find my abbreviations. And that was a Stoke K cross. And I took a 10-tick profit target, 10-tick stop. Yesterday I did the same thing. I did the Stoke K cross, but I got out on a coaching long exit. So you'd have to take the time to go back and edit all of these rules, make sure that the rules match what you used, and then in the reporting screen you could run reports based on entry rules. So we just want to run a report based on SKC. Every time I had that entry marked as SKC, it would use that in my trade or my reporting. Only took 2 trades on SKC and they were both losers. I should probably not trade that strategy. Just merely an example of what you can do in the trade tracker. And to answer your question, no, on order creation you can't anchor it to one of these rules. You have to go back and do it in the trade tracker itself. It'd be great if you could do it the other way, save a lot of time. All right, so let's go into, so if you have any questions, I'm going to devote about 10 minutes to the end to answer all the questions. So if you've got any questions on anything we covered, make sure that you ask them. All right, so I told you I'd wait till the end to cover journals. There's two different types of journaling that you can use in Trade Navigator. There's a little bit more primitive journaling, and then there's Platinum, and I believe it's available in Gold as well. The more primitive version of journals you can get to from here, but it will look completely different than what I'm about to show you. The only way to put a journal entry in is from your order bar and you checking the auto journal. If you have an auto journal checked and you place an order on your chart, the journal screen is going to open and allow you to put in either one of our pre-canned, how did I feel, that kind of thing. Or you could just skip all this and put in a note to yourself and attach a chart image and click OK. But it's only going to come up when you have that box checked, and anytime you either place an order or cancel an order, this is going to bother you every time. So typically people will get tired of that and uncheck Auto Journal. If you have Gold or Platinum, the functionality becomes a little bit better because you can make journal entries manually. So let's say we're on the Apple chart. Let's get over to the daily. And we decide that tomorrow Apple's going to rocket downward because nobody's happy with the iWatch. So we think to ourselves, well, you know what? When the market opens, I want to get in a short position at some random price, and I'll submit that so that it's filled on market open. All right? So now remember, I didn't auto journal it. I didn't want to be bothered with it while I was setting up my orders. Or maybe I've got a stop that I want to get connected to this and a whole bunch of stuff. After I get my order placed, now is the time I can click on Journal and go add a new journal entry. From the top, I typically just make a note and I type in what I was thinking and why I did it. But the magic is that I get to attach a chart image. Trade based on Apple performance of watch. Click OK. And now for that day, remember these are all the days. For that day, I've got a great place where I can see what the chart looked like when I placed my trade. This is the magic of the journal feature. Being able to see what the chart looked like on the day that you placed your order or the moment that you placed your order is magical. Because you don't have the power of foresight. If you took a short trade on this day, or maybe you placed a short order here, or maybe you got filled on a short entry here and wondered why in the world you would have done that. It's hard to imagine why you would do it when you can see all these bars in front of it. But maybe if you could see only that day, now I know this is a bad example because there's no real reason that we would take a short trade on that day. But maybe if you could only see that day and you couldn't see the bars in the front, you would understand, oh, I took the short trade because of this gap or whatever. So the power of forward looking sometimes skews our thoughts when we're looking back at our performance on past trading. The manual journaling function, in my opinion, is invaluable and is probably one of the biggest reasons to go to Gold or Platinum. Now, I'm not trying to sell you Gold or Platinum if you don't have it. Not saying that. It's just this is a real magical feature. Being able to take a snapshot of the chart very quickly when you place it. Yes, there are ways to do it. Before you say it, there are ways to do this without using journaling. You could right-click on your chart after you get your order set up and go down to Screen Capture. Save this in a folder that you save your chart pictures to. It's the same feature. It's just not attached to Trade Navigator. You would be outside the bounds. You'd have to label each one of these files by a particular name, and that would be the name of your trade or when you took it. So ways around it. Well, I think we got through all the buttons, and I kind of went through the nuances or the part of using the trade console. If anybody has any questions, feel free, put them on the question board. I don't see anything yet, and I will certainly answer them up. I will stay up for 10 minutes, or if we've got enough questions, we've got 20 left, so I don't really have anything more to go through on the trade console. I think I pretty much hammered through it. Nothing? Nobody has any questions? I must have done a really good job. Any views on Apple? Any reasons we think today was wild and went down? You know my feeling. It was all about the watch. I thought it was really funny when the announcement came out for the 6. We got this activity today, and then about the time the watch was announced, this is what happened to the price. All right, well, if there's no questions, everybody have a great evening, morning, afternoon, whatever time it is, wherever you're at. And tomorrow is Instant Replay. So if you aren't signed up for Instant Replay already and want to know more about using Instant Replay, now's the time to visit the calendar and sign up for tomorrow's session. And remember, all sessions are recorded, and the link on the calendar in the past is the link to the recorded session. Have a great evening.